Last year, I decided that I was going to pull my finger out and be the fastest I'd ever been on the bike. That lasted all of, well, 5 minutes. Actually, that's a lie. My motivation lasted until about mid-February, at which point I burnt out and proceeded to have a season of poor results, getting beaten by my mates and injury niggles. This year though, things are going to be different. I'm going to be realistic, I'm going to be motivated, and most importantly, I'm going to be sensible. Now, I probably would have told you the same at this point last year, but I'm confident that I've got a plan in place to prevent a repeat. That's because instead of some fad New Year's resolution that I stand no chance of keeping, I'll be following a dynamic training plan on the Join cycling app. And I've also got some tips off of their world tour level cycling coaches to see where my training, and maybe yours, has been going wrong. The start of the year is a great time to start afresh, and my initial idea for this video was to see how many watts I could increase my FTP by in January, whilst my motivation is at its highest. Luckily, before it was too late, the guys at Join Cycling told me that this was a stupid idea and was a surefire way to repeat what happened last year, i.e. burning out. As Jim Vandenberg, founder and CEO of Join, still coaches the likes of Taco van der Hoorn of Intermarché and former Dutch champion Pascal Inkhorn of Lotto, I thought I'd better listen. The truth is that you can make very little difference to your cycling fitness in just 30 days. Yes, you can tune yourself up to be better at a short effort, but any meaningful gains are unfortunately made over a much longer time period. This year, it's sustainable gains that I want to make, and that means increasing my cycling fitness. If I can do that, then I should be able to cycle faster, for longer, and put out more power at my current weight. According to Join's proprietary level system to monitor my fitness and progression, I'm currently a level 27.6. So I'm not a completely untrained beginner, that's level 0, but I've got some way to go before I'm a level 50 world-class Tour de France GC contender. So how many weeks of consistent training do I need to do before seeing my fitness improve? Well, Join Cycling has conducted its own research and has found that with only 3 to 5 hours of training per week, the progression of its users after 13 weeks is around 8%. Not bad, eh? If I can see an 8% increase in fitness after just 3 months, then I'll be very happy. If I am to see those kind of gains, then I need to train consistently for several months at least. And that means starting sustainably rather than going crazy to begin with. Obviously, there are going to be weeks that we find it easier to train than others, whether that's due to the weather, other commitments, or illness. It's here that my training usually falls apart, as I miss a session and then I'm trying to play catch up. The truth is that missing one session isn't the be all and end all. Even a grand tour isn't won or lost on one missed ride. When planning your training, you need to allow yourself some flexibility. They need to be dynamic and change around the immovable bits of your life. And this is one of my primary reasons for choosing Join. I don't want a training plan stopping me from going on a spontaneous group ride with my mates. I don't want to feel guilty if I have to cut a session short. And most of all, I don't want to do sessions that are inconvenient for me. Luckily, my training plan on Join will be updated immediately and will change dynamically to adapt to my progress, training goal, and sometimes busy life. If you're anything like me, then you need goals to work towards to keep yourself motivated. But how can you make sure they're the right ones for you? Well, Join Cycling allows me to select a tailored training plan, an event, or I can create my own custom cycling goal. These can sometimes feel a little far off, so I'm also interested in tracking my progress and ability to check how good I am compared to my friends, colleagues, neighbours, or Pogacar. Now's as good a time as any to set goals for the year, so why not sit down, look up some events, print off a mate's face and put it in the centre of your metaphorical target, but always make sure that your goals are smart. Numbers are great, and I firmly believe that power meters and heart rate monitors are one of the reasons that pros are riding so much faster today than they were a few decades ago. However, there's most definitely a point when you can take this data too far. We aren't machines, and sometimes there's simply no explanation for not being able to hit those targets. If you get back from a ride and your average speed is lower than usual, you couldn't hold the power for as long as you would have liked, or just generally felt that you didn't get the reward of speed for all your effort, then don't worry, it won't always be like that. The human body is a funny and temperamental thing, so accept that the same session is going to feel different on any 2 separate days. It is worth noting how you felt during each session though, so you can begin to draw patterns between when you feel good and not so good, as well as using this to locate your strengths, weaknesses, and symptoms of being under the weather. If anyone tries to tell you that there's such a thing as a magic workout, then they are a liar. There's no fast track way to getting fit, and just because one workout works for someone doesn't mean that it'll elevate your performance or my performance to the same extent. There is, however, such a thing as a good combination of workouts, and this will take into account your current level of fitness, your strengths and weaknesses, and what you're actually training for. Once you know this, you can train on it specifically, i.e. in the right intensity zones. We all know that doing set workouts is a surefire way of getting quicker or raising your FTP, but the guys and girls at Join Cycling are refreshingly flexible when it comes to just going out for a ride, and point out that even the pros training is far from 100% structured. Sprinkle in a handful of set sessions to your plan though, and you'll see your training step up to the next level. But how do you know that this session that's going to take up all your willpower is actually going to deliver the gains that you deserve? Well, that's why I've signed up to Join Cycling, because I can't be bothered to spend the time making my own sessions. And instead, I have 400 pro level sessions available, which are recommended based on my entire profile, previous training, weaknesses I need to work on, and my targets. It's clever stuff and much cheaper than a real life coach. Especially during the winter, it can be hard to motivate yourself after a hard day at work to get in the saddle and start turning those pedals. So this year, I'm going to be trying to not do it alone. Wherever possible, sign up for those group rides, find yourself a club, and why not message a cycling buddy and let them know your challenge. The chances are you'll then push each other to do the hardest bit, and that's actually getting on the bike. I've just shared my goal with a riding buddy as well as my private cycling group. I'm going to use this to organise group rides so I don't jib out at the last minute or put off riding, and I can even exchange information about my training plan and routes to see what sessions I might be able to join other people on. Recovery is important to everyone, not just the world's best. And although from day to day every cyclist will inevitably perform a bit less, the trick is to keep this decline to a minimum. It also goes without saying that you need to recover longer from long, hard workouts. So this year I'm going to try and use a polarized training plan. That means that around 80% of my training will be easy and around 20% of my training will be properly hard. In the year just gone, I fell into a bit of a rut of riding too hard on endurance rides, being absolutely knackered, and then not being able to put my max into the hard sessions. And, well, rinse and repeat. This year, I want to make sure that my endurance sessions are actually easy and I can give the hard efforts my all. And it's here that I think that an ever-changing training plan is really going to help. If you want to read more tips on how to recover properly, then we'll pop a link to 11 tips on the Join.cc website in the description below. Last year, I set myself a goal of riding at least 150 kilometers each week, come rain or shine. However, this usually meant by Sunday that I was in a state of pure panic, trying to cram in the remaining 149k or so. The thing is, the coaches at Join Cycling have made me realise that it really matters how you spread your time across the week. They call it frequency first. The idea is that you must first get the frequency of your workouts right. Only after that is volume important, and finally, you should take care of intensity. That's to say that training for an hour 3 times will benefit you more than doing one 3-hour ride, and it might also be easier to fit into a busy schedule once you get into the habit. Training more often also helps to create a rhythm, and if you do train more frequently, you're more likely to pick up the bike again. After all, exercise is addictive, and unlike most other addictions, this is one you can grow old with just fine. Take advantage of those happiness hormones and let the serotonins, endorphins and dopamines help motivate you for your next workout. Let us know what changes you'll be making to your training in 2024, and if you fancy trying out the Join Cycling app, then we'll put a link in the description below. If you enjoyed this content, then please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel for more content like this, and we'll see you next time.